I'm Ben Lanz, Executive Advisor for APC Media, Power Systems Technology Magazine. We're here at IEEE Grid Edge in San Diego, California to interview thought leaders in our industry to hear their insights into the challenges that we've been facing for the last couple years and what do we need to be working on. Through these interviews, we're going to bring their insights to you, our readers. I hope you enjoy. Our next guest is Mike Doolan.
Hey,
welcome, Mike. You're Director of CBRE Global Data Center Solutions. Tell me about your current role.
Yeah, so my current job is I'm the Global Technical and Reliability Director in CBRE Data Center Solutions. So been in CBRE for about 10 years and been in Data Center Solutions for about 8 of those. And prior to that I was in Johnson Controls, and I've had about 30 years in global data center operations, maintenance and technology roles around the world.
So incredible depth of experience with data centers. And we're here at Grid Edge, and you're on a panel session this afternoon, and everybody's talking about data centers, the challenges that we've been facing for the last X number of years, but then going forward. So really that leads me into what are some of the challenges that you're seeing at the Grid Edge for data centers, and have we solved some of those, and if so, what's been your experience?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest trend we're seeing recently is the growth in the size of the data center facilities themselves. So probably the average size has been, I don't know, between 10 and 20 megawatts for the last 10 or 15 years, and now we're starting to see 100, 200, 3 or plus 100 megawatt, even up to gigawatt sites. So it's just the scale of the sites, which really means that, you know, although the infrastructure itself is still very much the same as it was, you know, generators, UPSs, and cooling for the computers, it's now a lot more of it. So we could have sites with 100 plus generators, with, you know, 50 plus UPS systems, 100 plus chillers. So you know, our teams now have vast volumes of equipment to maintain and operate compared to what they've had in the past.
The amount of expertise just to operate these facilities is mind-boggling.
Well, plus the challenge that the resource pool is obviously, you know, a very big challenge for all industries, and so finding the people to maintain and operate these critical facilities is a big challenge for everybody in our industry at the moment. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No shortage of challenges there. So this has been the challenge in the past, but looking forward now, in the next 3 to 5 years, obviously we have the growth size. Any other challenges that you see that we as an industry at the Grid Edge need to be thinking about solving?
Well, I guess the reliability of the power coming into the data center is, and always has been, one of the key factors in data center operations. So although the sites have UPSs and generators which are designed to, you know, take over if the main utility fails for any reason, oftentimes that's fraught with, you know, issues and checks, and we have to have our teams, you know, literally running around the site making sure that all the generators have started and all the UPSs have operated correctly and all the mechanical plant has started back up again. So those power outage events are pretty, you know, time consuming and pretty impactful on the site. So, you know, the more notice we can get before an outage happens, so that we can perhaps preemptively prepare and, you know, close, transition, transfer over, that's always a useful thing, and where our sites work closely with the grid providers to make sure that those things are done seamlessly. But unfortunately, unexpected situations often occur, and we are left with an unexpected power outage to deal with.
A lot of coordination, and it's supposed to be automated equipment, but to be able to have the time to make sure all that equipment's going to do what it's supposed to do.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why most of our sites, you know, have at least 2, if not more, supplies coming in, often from different substations, to really try and make that, you know, power supply as resilient as possible, and the probability of those outages as low as possible. So.
Oh, that's fascinating. And I know that you have this panel session this afternoon, and these are some of the things I assume you're going to be talking about, probably in more depth. We really excited that you're here at the Grid Edge, because utilities need to be able to connect with the folks at the data centers, right? We need to be able to be communicating, and that's really an interesting opportunity. But this is your first time at Grid Edge?
Yeah, this is my first real involvement with the IEEE and the Grid Edge conference. Yeah, so it's good to be here. So.
And of course, the data centers are sitting right at the Grid Edge. How has your conference been so far, and what do you see the value of the Grid Edge?
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting to interact with some different companies than I've done data center conferences. So there's a few names that are familiar with me, like Eaton and Mitsubishi and others, but I think they're here for very different sort of reasons than I interact with them in the data center operations world. So it's also been interesting to understand, more about the microgrids and some of the companies that are here talking about that, because often having that, standalone power generation on site, as it were, is going to become a real feature of data centers in the future as they get bigger and as the grid capacity might not be there to sustain them.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of on-site generation starting to happen or be predicted to happen in the future.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I've heard we had some interactions with some of the utilities here, and they are just fascinated to hear that side of the story, because it's something they know it's coming. And really want to learn more. So really glad that you're here. I also want to ask you about another organization that you're a part of, which is SARA, Safety and Reliability Association. Tell me, I know this is an organization that's really starting to pull together and create content for really on the industrial side, but also utility side, the safety and reliability. We often say the two sides of the same coin. What's your thoughts about and vision for SARA, and what do you see the value in SARA?
Yeah, so I've been privileged to be part of SARA since its inception a couple of years ago, and I think as you say, very much focused on reliability and uptime and availability of the equipment, but equally focused on making sure that the operators are safe when they're working in and around that equipment. And I think, big focus on the power and making sure that the reliability of the power side is covered. A lot of reliability organizations, focus on the heavy industrial equipment and the rotating equipment. This is equally balanced with the power side of that equation. So so it's good to be a part of that, and I think we could do some exciting things. We're looking for new members to join and create the future of SARA by having like-minded people all talking about how we're going to drive safety and reliability across multiple industries, but in particular bringing that thinking into data centers, where I think over the years it hasn't been as prevalent, because data centers are very much focused on operators, OEM manufacturers recommended maintenance, and lots of staff and lots of redundancy of equipment. So I think bringing in that new maintenance thinking of condition-based maintenance and not always doing things by the calendar is going to be a good change for the data center industry. So
excellent. Well, Mike, you have any closing comments for our audience?
No, just looking forward to interacting with more of these companies, understanding more about what's going on at that grid edge, and how we can make the supplies to the data center more reliable, whether we're producing on-site ourselves or interacting with the external utilities. So pleased to be here.
Well, it's been great to have you, Mike. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Ben. Take care.